Hello.
Morning.
We are live now.
Excellent.
Hi, Donabel.
Hi, Gio. I love your show. Looking forward to the next one.
Thank you so much.
Kushal. Okay. Um, Let me just give a quick intro, Geith, and then Geith will start talking about our upcoming class. Um, First, I just want to, well, you know what? I only see, I see some new people that aren't really new to us, they're just new to this time. So, and they kind of already know what we're doing. Sean, you've been here before, right? Forgive me. I thought so.
My
Okay.
first time here, Tom.
Yes, Abdul, I know. And basically, I guess I'll just say it in a very informal way. We're still figuring all this out. We're just trying to grow in a way that we help each other. That's our main theme. And
Isn't that how our models are
that's
generally?
right. That's right. Exactly. But I think we're steadily getting better at it. And but I'll just say a few things so that there's more people here when Guy starts talking about our upcoming class. And just remind, if you've got background noise, please do mute. Thank you. I have to tell myself this too, so I'm not getting on to anyone. Hi, Kim. Um, if you guys picture an iceberg and you know how little of the ice is above the water, that's your data science life. And we recognize as we want to help each other that there's so many important things to making our data science healthy and productive. And that's the stuff under the water, the rest of our lives. And that's why we talk about things like integrating brilliance and soft skills and vision plans or vision statements, excuse me, and ways that we hurt and ways we can help each other. So we're not trying to avoid talking about the technical stuff or uh, the other things. In fact, that's why Guy's going to be talking about the class. But we want to spend time making sure we really helped each other not feel so alone. We understand that we're all having struggles and how we deal with those struggles. So that's a big part of what we do. And that was something I meant to share another recent week that I didn't get to quite get out. And Guys, I think this would be a good time for you to launch into your talk on our upcoming class.
It's not a talk today. I'm just going to tell everybody what is, let's say, what's this class, the coming class, what's all about. So just how it's the idea as it started and what, let's say, what we hope to reach from it. I will share my screen just because I make small presentation. It will help me to remember what to speak about. And you can see yourself right now, I think. Okay.
I want that house.
Okay. It's for sale, so you can make your offer. Just I'm a little bit confused. I don't know what I have to do right now. Okay, just let me check this one. Okay.
Excellent.
Now, when we are talking about the automated supervised machine learning pipeline, we are looking for some techniques or some framework that we have to follow to have automated process in creating and utilizing or consuming the machine learning models. So the course itself, it's built on an speech or a session prepared by Tina, Tom, and Lewis Owen about the same. But here we are going to expand the topic because we have multiple sessions and we are going to discuss multiple techniques also. So we start from that point, and then we will go deeper, let's say, and most probably the most important part, it will be practical. There is a lot of assignments we are looking for it, because the assignment, it will help us as a teachers also to learn something. For me personally, I want to learn something new, also for the student and the teacher assistant. So what is the main idea, or what is the target? Because we want to be stronger together. This is our target. So this class is just part of the integrated, just like what's happened in the integrated mentoring session, it will be the same, but we are looking for some kind of discipline. That's all. But the idea behind it, because we want to be stronger. We want to have these skills for all of us. And also we want all of us to share our experience on that field. As personally, also, as I told you, from my point of view, there is a lot of things. Yes, I tried previously, I have experience about it, but also there is new things I hope that to learn it during the class from the student and from the teacher assistant and from Tom. So that means all together we are trying to be stronger in our field, not only from soft skill. Right now we are focusing somehow on the technicalities, let's say, or the technical part. What is the difference between the automated machine learning pipeline and machine learning modeling? In fact, if we read any research or prepare some model using Google Colab, for example, what we have a data set, then we are doing kind of feature engineering, features and feature selection. We will train a model according to model that we create, or using some kind of pre-trained model, and we make transfer learning. Then we will evaluate our model. Then we will find what we have to do with the data. All of this together will give us machine learning model to tell us that this model is performing good on this data set. Now, this is the modeling, but this process, I think everybody here is agree with me that this process is only as a maximum 10% of building machine learning system, integrated machine learning system. So when we are talking about automated supervised machine learning pipeline, the pipeline, it will cover the other part. So mainly what is the pipeline, or what is the target for machine learning project? It will be the following. We need to create integrated machine learning systems, operate this machine learning system in production, handle continuously changing data, because we train the model, but is it still cover the space, the expected feature space that we have or not? Changing the data, how it's affect the model, and when we are when we need to retrain or to do some other kind of techniques, and also optimize the resource costs. And this is very important, because all of these algorithms, it's need, let's say, it's cost a lot for time and for training, and a lot of data also used. So optimizing the resource cost, it's also part of the targets when we are going to production. So mainly with this pipeline, automated pipeline, we are moving from modeling to production. This is the target, and we need to move. Anything is able to be automated, it will be better to be automated, because we have to focus on a lot of things. So what is the pipeline? Pipeline, exactly, it is the following. It's framework for automating, monitoring, and maintaining model training and deployment. So how to do that? We have, in fact, this, sorry, I have to back. Oh, I'm going forward. We have this, let's say, graph.
Guys, forgive me for interrupting. I think
Yes,
I might have messed something up. There's people that are having trouble joining, and let me see if I can find, maybe, I don't know if there's any, I'm trying to join today's session. However, it's showing me that the host has not joined the meeting.
Actually, there's a link which dates back to last week's Zoom, Zoom ID.
Okay.
That's the problem. So I joined that one first, and then I came over here.
Okay, Ayush.
How did you get over here, Ayush?
It was the link not in the description which I used. The link in the description is not correct.
So we'll share this session's link in the Slack channel.
Yes, that will be great.
Thank you. Should I do that, or did someone offer to do that?
I think Vikram will do it.
Okay, thank you, and sorry for that. I think
I did it just now.
good.
Yeah,
I have
like
I have
Ayush
shared the
said.
link to the channel.
Tom, maybe you should also put something in the chat in case people can see, but they can't get on because they might not know to go to Slack.
You mean in the Slack chat?
No, in the Zoom chat.
Oh, you're saying they can see the chat?
Well, I don't know if it's that they can't get on, but I don't know if they would know to check Slack. Sorry, that's my dog.
Oh, no worries, no worries. Okay, I don't know why it behaved that way. That is very interesting. Next time I'll just create a totally new link. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
so
work
the
on this
link-
while you go on. Sorry, guys.
Right, you're muted.
Okay. From CD Foundation for Machine Learning Operations, the architect for the pipeline, it will be like this. So mainly we are talking about the following step. We have three major categories for these steps, which is data preparation, model creation, and rollout. And starting from the data itself, we will start our activities. Now, this is all what is the class all about. All of these processes, all of these pipelines, okay? But it's not standard. That means not everyone is following this to automate the pipeline. So that's why you can find that there is something will be missed, but it will be covered in another topic or in another process. So from data cleansing to ingestion to data analysis and transformation, validation, data engineering or feature engineering, and data splitting, from training, test, validation, or using other method for splitting. Then when we are going to building the model later, then training optimization, model validation, train of scale, and then we have the model. The third part, the rollout, is related to consume the model and also monitoring it, debugging it, and have interpretability or explaining the model. And all of this will back again to building the model. That means when we consume the model, it will give us clear idea how to retrain or rebuild the model once again. So our course, it will be, or our class, it will be focused on this. This is our target. With all of this, let's say, extra frameworks, we'll check with what frameworks that it's able to help on this. We will check how to build something from scratch when we need it. So mainly we are focusing on some ideas or some theoretical knowledge, and then the most important, it's how to implementing or apply it in production. The class logistic, we have the class time, it will be 7 p.m. Dubai time, which is 8:30 Indian Standard Time, 3 p.m. GMT time. That means it's the same starting time of this session each Saturday. What we are going to do, we will start with the class. For the class, it will be 45 minutes to 50 minutes as a maximum. Then we are going out, and then we will join the integrated mentoring session using another link. Right now, the link that we are here, it will be the same for all the Saturdays. So this link, it will never be changed. And also we will have another link for the class. So what will happen on Saturday? We are going to start on the session that we have for the class, and then we will start the integrated mentoring session. Let's name it after party, let's name. So who is the teaching and the training team? The main teacher for sure, Mr. Tom. I'm the honored to be the co-teacher with him. We are suggesting, I don't know if he joined Ashish to be TA leader, and then we have some TAs will join us. Hopefully, if we need more, we will ask to add more, because our plan to have 5 students supervised by 1 TA. So if we have number of students more than 25, we will add more TAs. We try to have some, let's say, Tim and Zaina, they are not from India, because if somebody is joining who is not, let's say, his mother language is Arabic, so Zaina is able to help, and also I will be helping. So we try to cover whoever the student will be, he will be happy with the TAs and also hopefully with the teachers. So the communication, it will be using Zoom and will be live on YouTube. And then since we are live, the session, it will be there forever. Communication with the teacher, TAs, it will be using Slack channel. And also for sure, the teachers will be there. The tools we are going to use as a teachers during the sessions, we are going to use MS Code as IDE. But we are not strict for that. That means we are going to use it like this. But any IDE, it will be good for the student that they are familiar with it. They are able to work to make the assignment using it. So what's the idea of using IDE? Because we want to have real production scenarios. So we are not working on some kind of task to build the model as we mentioned previously, and then we are happy with the results. No, we are creating kind of system, integrated machine learning system. So we want to face the whole, let's say, scenario during our assignment. The programming language will be Python frameworks, the TensorFlow, PyTorch. Sometimes maybe we will speak about TensorFlow extension, TFX, and also some other tools. What's the idea here? I want to explain something related to the TAs. We are trying that we have, for example, I'm giving, let's say, names without, I don't know their experience where it is exactly. But for example, let's say Zaina, she is good on PyTorch, but Tina, she is good on TensorFlow. So the students, they will move between the TAs. We will have teams, each team of 5 students. So this week, for example, they will be with Zaina and they will work on PyTorch to prepare the assignment. Next week or after 2-3 weeks, because it's until now it's around 13 weeks, okay, they will move to be under supervision of Tina and they will work on TensorFlow. According to that, they will have great knowledge about all the frameworks that we use. Then they can choose where to go, what is their preferred tool to work on it. Registration link, this link I can share it on the Slack channel. It's for registration. Just why we need the registration, just only to know how many TAs we need, and also to have let's say to have discipline from the student, that since you are registered, you have our time and also we have your time during this session. So we need the student to be there, and discipline is very important in this class. The registration, it only has 3 information: the name, the email, and the time zone. Why I'm asking for the time zone in this, it's for one reason. Maybe if we need to change the timing, we are going to change it. But right now, we are not going to change this. What is the session structure itself? It will be like this. We will start with presentation by one group of students about the last week assignment. This will give us the summary of the previous week or the previous session. It will be within 10 minutes. Then the main session, the new content, the new session, it will be discussed within 30 minutes. After that, we are going to ask the TAs or the TA leaders just to give us 10 minutes to make a description and some explanation about the new assignment. So the total, it will be 45 to 50 minutes. And we will try to have it strict time, only this. We are not going to change this time. So what we are focusing on, we are focusing on light sessions with, let's say, kind of not heavy, real scenario, real production scenario assignment. This is our trial. This is what we want to do. If I want to go further, prerequisition. Now here, the prerequisition, I think it will be just a high level of prerequisition. That means we don't need this to be there, but knowledge about Python programming, it will be needed for sure. Theoretical knowledge about artificial neural networks, about what is the forward propagation and what's the backward propagation, and how this affecting the laws, how it will be reduced, and then the model will be trained. This concept, for sure, it has to be there with you. And also during the session, also this is very important. We are going to explain, for example, 5 concepts. The assignment, it will be on 1 or 2 concepts, but also we will try to provide resources for another 10 concepts. So we will try to help everyone, and also we hope that everyone help us on this, to provide a set of references and resources. It will help everyone to expand on the knowledge. So we are trying to cover the basics, and then everyone is responsible to expand his knowledge about this.
And real quick, guys, just want to add real quick, please don't think you have to be really highly skilled at Python, or that you have to be able to derive neural networks from scratch. That is definitely not what we're talking about. Just all Guy's talking about is a high level appreciation of the fact that there's a neural network and it feeds forward when it's in prediction mode. It does back propagation to help it in its training process. We're not asking you to be able to derive any of that from scratch, or even to know calculus well enough to do the chain rules to figure out all of that back propagation stuff. It's just really high level appreciation of what, if you guys know a little bit of Python and you've seen the pipeline talk before, you're pretty much prepared.
Okay. Also, the same we are talking about when we are talking about the supervised learning or deep learning basics. What's the meaning of deep learning? It's enough to know. Machine learning modeling techniques. That's mean when we are talking about what is supervised learning, what is unsupervised learning, and how it's differentiated between each other, and what is the semi-supervised learning as a high-level concept. Also, it has to be there, this knowledge. What is the evaluation matrices? Because I think we are not going to mention or to teach all of this, the evaluation matrices and how we are going to build it. But for sure, we are going to mention something about it, especially when we are talking about the AutoML. So we will find something related to the evaluation matrices. So to have basic knowledge about it also, it will be good. This is the prerequisition. And then the class outputs, or what is the final, what we get. For sure, we have the YouTube live session. It will be on YouTube always on the channel. And also the assignments, it will be repository on GitHub. I didn't change this, sorry, Tom, but the textbooks, because after the class, we will, all of these contents, we are going to make it as a textbook. The textbook, it will be on bilingual, that means Arabic, English, or Hindi, English, both of them, that it will be. There is a version of Arabic, English, and there is another version of English, Hindi. The authors, it will be the teachers, it will be editors, they will be the TAs. Also the workbook, which is related to the assignments and the detail of the assignment. And the great about the assignment, most of them, it will be related to the healthcare. So we are going to face real world scenarios. That means it will not be something from outside. This chat light, it will, okay, I have a lot of readings after finishing the presentation. Okay. The authors will be the TAs, and the editors, they will be the teachers. Also, hopefully, until now, we didn't confirm it yet. There is a certification, it will be for all the students after finishing the class and the assignments, that this class, it will, they are underwent and they are passed successfully from one university from here in Dubai. Until now, we are on the negotiation part, but we didn't finalize it yet. Hopefully, it will be approved and we will get this accreditation from them. So this is the class output. Now, I'm not going to speak here. Let's open about the lessons, how it will be structured.
Real quick,
So,
there was some thoughts in the chat that you guys will have to learn Hindi and/or Arabic, and that is correct. No, we're joking. But but our goal, we were very excited for the publisher we talked to. They were very eager to do bilingual versions. But what was hilarious to me is I was on a show in Kenya yesterday and was asking them if we did the textbook and it could be made available to them, what other language would they want it in? And they said English. So we may have an English-only version, but we'll see. The main thing is we will start probably in the Arabic and the Hindi worlds right away. And yes, like Guy said, any questions? And sorry for the link confusion. I feel like I was tricked by Google Calendar.
Okay, just I will stop sharing right now. Let us check the question from everyone or any ideas that they are going to share. About the Arabic, there is only, I have to add this point. Yes, there is some countries, they have good educational system that helping them to have good, let's say, good English. They are going to, it's easy for them to learn English, but there's other countries, they face some problems on the translation. So to have this bilingual book, it will be better for spreading the book itself. And also, since the English version is there, so it's not only Arabic or only Hindi. So this is the idea. I will stop sharing right now, unless you ask me to go for the syllabus and the lessons. I'm not going to mention it right now. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Guy.
Thanks, Zoid.
And sorry for the link confusion, guys. I really don't know what happened, but I'm glad y'all are showing up now. So be thinking about that. If you have any questions, please fire us to over Slack. You can do it to any of the steward team, which is me, myself, two people there, Guy, Giovanna, Manpreet, Tina, and and Zina. And let's see, good. Just going through the comments real quick. What will be the time involvement? Oh, we're trying to keep the time involvement very minimal. The assignments will be very bite-sized, and that's a very important point. We'd rather have more small classes than, you know, fewer big ones where you have a lot of work each week. We really want you to enjoy the assignments and for them to be very valuable, small bite-sized assignments.
Yes, Tom, but I think the question was about the TAs. Since the TAs, they will be supervising the student during the assignment, so how they will be involved with them.
Oh, well, this was from Chantanil.
Yes.
So I thought that was a student
Yeah,
question.
I think, yeah, Tom actually resolved my doubt. That was my doubt, not the TA one. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, guys, I'm going to put a link in by the way, we're always trying to think what would be the best thing to lead off with. And I put a link in the chat. That's a blog post that I wrote a while back on developing your personal data science learning plan. And we don't have to do this topic the whole time, but we thought we'd lead off with this topic. You don't have to go read that blog post right now, but if you want to get some context for what we're going to talk about for a little while, you can. And the spirit of it is just to say, you need to be the master of your own data science learning plan. Now, you may rightly say, but I don't know how to start my learning plan, and that would be fair. Well, how could you know how to start one? If you go look up Tom Mitchell's book, and I'll get a link for that while we're talking, and you look at the table of contents, basically getting a good introductory book to machine learning would be a great guide to what your first learning plan should be. But as you know, there's so many things happening in our field, and you can't learn it all. So what can you do to figure out what you should learn? And that really is a question based on a good intersection between your passions and your job roles or what field you want to work in. And you need to try to be reasonable, of course, too. But I did just provide a link in our chat for Tom Mitchell's book, which is considered a very good introductory textbook for machine learning, data science. But I'd like to just open it up for discussion and questions about why it's important that you come up with your own personalized learning plan.
If I could ask maybe Tom or anyone, like, why do you think like in our domain we need to be our own lecturer, you know, like we need to be our own professors? Like in software engineering degrees, like everything is there, you know what you need to learn. Is it because it's new, or like is it very wide so we cannot like specify what to learn? And yeah, by the way, regarding books, I do have a reference book I'm using right now, and it's really great. It's called AI and Machine Learning for Coders. It's by Lawrence Moroney, the instructor on deep learning AI. It's a really great book as a reference. I often use it.
Excellent. No, I'm glad you brought this up. I would only answer briefly. Guys, thank you. That's a great question, Amar. It's not that you have to come up with your own learning plan for introductory level stuff. For example, you should all be good at the basics. The reason we're designing our course the way we are is it really is about covering the basics. In fact, I would even say it's about covering the basics in a way that they're not normally covered. If you're doing supervised machine learning, you need to understand the pipeline, the order of dealing with features, the order of cycling through models, the order of comparing those models to one another and how to compare them, and to not get sucked into just the best accuracy. So there's no harm in getting an initial learning plan from a textbook's table of contents or something like that. What we're emphasizing too is it can be like a skills matrix. You're making a list of the basic things that you want to learn, but then in the columns, you may have a degree of mastery. So for example, can I use the Python library and get a solution to this? That would be step one, or R. I'm not trying to rule out R or Julia. Now the next level would be, do I really have a good grasp of the mathematical concepts? And maybe you would put on your learning plan that you always want to emphasize the first column being the mathematical concepts, but see, it's up to you. Now, yes, I would say, please put the mathematical concepts high level first, then make sure you can use the Python module. Now, if you've gotten to that level on several individual skills, that's great. But eventually, I would strongly encourage you to be good at the detailed math on linear and logistic regression and how to code that from scratch without NumPy or SciPy. Do you need to do that in your first year? No. But I'm saying if you get to a point where you will force yourself to do the derivation and figure it out and code it up from scratch, it will help you have greater insights. Knowing how to code up one-hot encoding from scratch, very valuable. Do you have to do it right away? No. Understanding how to code normalization, scaling, very important. But do you have to do that with your own code right away? No, you can use the Python, the scikit-learn library. So Amar, is that helping?
Yeah. It's actually yeah, on the point. And like the thing I was thinking of that, like I've been learning AI and machine learning for like 2-3 years now, and like it doesn't get any easier, but it goes like clearer. The view goes a bit clearer with time, you know. It's all you're gonna always see like new things, like things you have never heard of, and you find lots of people talking about. Like this is very normal, but like with time you're gonna find the keys. You're gonna find your way to study them.
Very well put. And by the way, as I pointed out before, your initial learning plan may look a lot like, at least the rows will look a lot like what you might find in your favorite textbook or your favorite online course or something like that. And that's great. But then you're deciding, okay, do I learn reinforced learning now? Do I learn deep learning? Do I learn transformers? And now that gets a little more complicated. And then you have to ask, hey, what do I need to know to learn those things? What are the strong prerequisites I need to know? And so you start investigating, and you can ask me, you can ask anyone in this group that's further along, and we're not all further along, and that's okay. By the way, if you've joined late, there's a link to a blog post up at 8:35 a.m. from me, and then a link to Tom Mitchell's book, which would give you a really good, his table of contents could give you a good initial start to your learning plan. But I want to emphasize, if you keep this, let's say you have a workbook, a spreadsheet basically, but a workbook of spreadsheets. And one of your spreadsheets is your learning plan. It's, here are the skills I want to learn. Here's the level of mastery I'm at for each of those skills. That could be your first sheet, but the next sheet could include really key references that you want links to, or you just want to note that will take you back when you need to review things. Because trust me, it's not a matter of if you'll need to review something, it's a matter of when you will need to review something. I'll give you an example. I taught control system design at the university level for 5 different semesters. Guess how many times I had to review control system design before I taught it each time?
I think 5.
No, it was 10. No, I'm joking, Amar. Yeah, it was every time. And so, but again, if you become the master of your own learning plan, now what's your guide for this learning plan? It's your vision statement. And again, that's why we have our steward team member Gio talking about vision statement. But your whys can become more specific too. Your vision statement can start to grow tentacles and start to say, okay, based on my vision statement, I'm involved in data science for these reasons. And so, but since I'm in it for those reasons, what do I need to learn? Well, I know I need to learn the basics, but now that I've learned the basics, which basic principle do I need to go deeper on? And that's why it's so important to have that degree of mastery. So I'll give you an example. Even though I suggest some columns in that blog post, I'll just give you some examples. Mathematical concepts, Python modules or R modules, deriving the basic math on your own, coding it up from scratch with the libraries, you know,
And without the libraries, yeah.
Well, with like, just say, for example, just NumPy.
Okay.
And then without SciPy, without sklearn. Now you're just, and then, but I would say, if you want to really go further, develop a library of your own that does what NumPy does. Now that's the heavy lifting. But again, don't feel like you have to get there all at once. Start making your matrix, your learning matrix, skinny in the beginning, and then let it go broader. Now, I've been talking a while, so I want to shut up and let other people make some comments and ask some questions.
Yeah, I have a few. There were a lot that were coming up. So I don't know how many of the others have been facing this. So I will try to formulate in this way. Since we are talking about getting clear with the basics first and deep diving into something, I have been involved in this data science field for the past, I don't know, about 8 or 9 months now. One thing that I have been realizing is that there are a lot of different skill sets and softwares that a lot of the industries are asking for. And what I am facing a difficulty in, even though I have done with the basics, or for example, the machine learning part or some other software, if it is not being revised in time, after like 5 months or 6 months, if I've left something, then things get really like, I don't know, I'm not able to recall how it's done or how to go about with it. So I don't know how many of the others do face it, but yeah, that is a major problem that I face. Like after every 6 months, I feel I need to again start from scratch and revise everything. So this is really demotivating for me actually. So if there is some solution to that, that would be great.
Can I answer this?
Yes, please.
Yes, I think this is the reason why Tom, and I agree with him for sure, suggest for our class to have it more related to practical. That means a lot of assignments, but the time, the session time, it's less, only 30 minutes. Because this is because we have a lot of new things appeared and a lot of studies, but then if we didn't have a time to implement this, then we are going to, yes, within 3-4 months, we have to revisit this again and start from scratch. So since this pipeline for machine learning pipeline, it's considered basic, but it's generalized way for the basics. So if we have this class with a lot of assignments, then you are able, or I think it should be, you are able to say that, okay, my basics raised for 2 steps, for example. And then if I'm going to back to the scratch, I'm sure that this scratch, it will be on a higher level, not on that depth level. So I think, and we don't have to forget one thing, that we are forced to follow our career. That means what is our work right now, what's our company asking for, we are going to focus on it. And then this will take the most time. We will improve on that direction, but for sure we will ignore other directions. This is normal. This is what we need at the end, because this is our job. Now back again to Giovanna and to other sessions that we may come here in integrated mentoring session. The most important for our learning plan is to know what is our personal vision. The second point, it's what's our abilities, and our abilities, part of it, what's our work right now, our job, what is the requirement of our job. So we have to create our learning plan according to this also. So that's why I think it's dangerous to have theoretical knowledge about something, but not applying it immediately or in close time, because yes, we are going to forget about it. We have to restart again. This
Chantanil, is that helping?
Yeah, is that is helping a little bit, but I'm still a little bit lost because yeah, I had done the basic stuff, I had coded it out, but yeah, now if I look back, like the main problem that I'm facing is there are so many other things. Like I started with SQL, then I did some deep learning courses, then I'm doing some, I don't know, the Tableau, Power BI courses, and all the different things that they are asking for the job requirements. So I'm trying to learn all those things, and things are getting pretty messed up now. So.
Tom, do you remember our meeting just from an hour before I talked about this, like exact thing?
Exactly. No.
Exact thing. Like it keeps happening to so many of us. We forget to apply.
So just
Can I talk something?
Yes, I want to just add something real quick, Anand, and then please come in next. Just Chantanil, another picture. Imagine you're building any kind of vertical structure and you want it to be really stable, but you want it to go high too. Well, if it's going to go high, it's got to be really stable on the bottom, right? And that's what we mean about those basics. Get the basics down. You cannot circumvent them. You can't get around them and expect to do well. But it doesn't mean you have to master them perfectly either. So master them to a good level. And I agree, it gets dizzy in the beginning, but after some time, focusing, by the way, your first plan, I just want to point out to y'all, the basics are going to be okay. But when you start modifying your plan the first time, it's likely not going to be good. But the planning, the research is what you want to keep track of, because that's what's valuable. And then that way you can adapt your plan as you need. Anand, go on ahead, please. And then we'll go to Donabelle.
Okay, thank you.
Anand?
Yeah.
Go on ahead, buddy.
How are you? Fine. Yeah, I just the question asked by Senthil, and he also had some confusion how we can to become a good deep learning student, a deep learning master on the subject. I just suggest that if your basic is very what I'm saying is basic is very good. I think don't go for the other things, because these things be if he is talking about the BI and other visualization tool, that is there. That is, every software had different types of visualization and different types of algorithm, different types of analysis. But if your mathematics and if your basics, and as you said, your planning, which is very important, the basic rules. This is this thing we have to think. Every person have to think only the main thing, because the software is what I am saying. The software is changing after
That's
6
true.
months, 7 months. Yeah, this is the way. So you have to only clear your basic. Okay, it is only the basic line. You want to understand the logic behind. You can write down in R, you can write down in Pythons, you can write down in other things, but you have to master only one subject. That I want to tell to every person, rather than
Thank
to
you.
moving different platforms.
Thank you for that,
I
Anand.
think.
I wanted,
I,
I wanted
yeah.
to.
Thanks.
So
Yeah.
I agree with Anand. I think so. For me, the way I see it, Chantanil, you mentioned jumping to multiple tools, and maybe what you want is choose one and select a killer program or project and master them all in under one tool. So if you think about, you can use Python to tackle a nice project where you are also showing your visualization skills. Right? So if you showcase your understanding of visualizing your results, I don't see why somebody or a company who uses Power BI or Tableau will say, no, this guy won't be good at Tableau or Power BI.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that is something that I want to ask upon, since I am not currently working, like I'm yet to graduate. People who are actually working, I need to understand, how does the interview go? Do they ask for you to solve specific problem during the interview, like in some certain coding thing, or do they just ask you for the basic knowledge? If you can explain this stuff, like how does it go in the interview?
So I've never been to a technical interview, but in terms of analytics, it's more about the reasoning. The reasoning about why did you decide to plot certain things, for example, and what was the output? What did it solve? For me, it's not about, oh, I can do this and that, but what was what did it solve? Like, why did you calculate, the rate of something, right? So the reasoning is a lot. So I'll let somebody else answer the technical piece of it in terms of interviewing, because I don't know.
Chantanil, there is a variety of interview methods. And what I would encourage everyone, if you go on an interview, you may feel like you did bad and you'll get an offer. You may feel like you did the best interview of your life and you won't get an offer. You can't judge yourself on the interviews. What you want to do is go on a lot of interviews and learn. What you want to do is collect as many of those interview questions that are shared by people on LinkedIn and start to go through those and be able to understand the concepts that are behind those interview questions, because those are the community trying to help each other understand what kind of questions you might get in an interview. And is that helping, Chantanil?
Yeah, that is helping a lot, actually.
Okay, and I know Donabelle wanted to share something. Please go, Donabelle.
I think it's similar to what Anand has said. I think we just need to be careful about choosing the tools because the tools change as well. So what you might have learned, so I'm not familiar with a lot of the other tools, but Tableau I'm very familiar with. 3 months ago, it looks different from what it looks like right now. So sometimes the solution is being able to use some of the new features and not use the old ways of doing things. So being able to adapt as well, I think is what employers might want to look at, and being able to learn. So I think being on the other side, I want to see that you actually have appetite, enthusiasm to learn. Because if you've shown that you can do that in R, I have confidence you can do that in Python. So.
Another thing I want to emphasize real quick, Chantanil and everyone, not everyone interviews very well. I mean, let's say you're interviewing perfectly, but the interviewer doesn't do a good job, and you just got to be flexible. But if you can afford to do it, it's also good to remember you're interviewing them. They're not just interviewing you. And that's why it's important to apply for many jobs so that you have options. And this gets into another learning skill that we might not think to put on our learning plan. But guys, I started my first vision statement about 28 years ago, and I've had to refine it multiple times. And I'm still learning, even though I did it when probably Gio was in grade school. I'm still learning from her now. Every time she talks about it, it deepens my understanding of how important they are. But your vision statement should be on in your skills, in your learning plan. As a reminder, just like we have to review other basic things, we have to review our vision statement. But we should be putting important soft skills on there: storytelling, vision statement, listening skills. There's just times that we may need to go review those things or think, how can I do better in those areas? But then again, interview skills. And I'll tell you, probably the most important interview skill that Gio encouraged everyone: remain calm, and I suck at that. I'm just going to confess to everyone. Once they ask a technical question, I'm like, but this could go 10 different ways. And I have noted that the times in my life where I just didn't care and I started just to answer as best I could and I wasn't worried because I thought, oh, I've already failed, I did better than ever just because I was calm and relaxed. But what I'm trying to say is, please do not judge yourself on any one interview, even if you bomb it completely. That's just one episode in your life, and move on. But try to go on a lot of interviews. Try to get a lot of interviews. Others, please jump in.
Hey, Tom, can I jump in?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Valerie, I think you might have popped your head up. Go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, no, I muted myself too soon. I was trying to say, yes, Kevin, would love to hear from you.
Tom, can we go ahead and let Valerie go real quick?
Yes, for sure. Valerie, going ahead.
Chantanil, what I was going to say is you're in school right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So get together with your friends, form an interview club, and go online. And there's lots of places where you're going to find, bunches of interview questions. And then, and it's good to have a smaller group. And maybe, let's say you have 20 people that want to do this. Break them up into smaller groups so that each person has some time. And so you meet with your little group, and you have to have some guide rules. Basically, the ones we use are, it's kind of the sandwich thing. You have to say something positive, then you can say something that's, a little critical or whatever, and then you end with something positive. So that's the rule. So it's got to be a supportive situation. And so what we do is we have a list of questions, and there's a person who, say there's 60 questions. So you're the interview, you're the candidate. So we'll say, okay, 1 to 60, you pick a number. So you pick a question. So you don't know what question you're going to get, which is like an interview. Okay. So you answer your question, and then the other people listen to your answer and then kind of give you the sandwich sort of answer back to help you get an idea of, how you might improve. And the other thing is look up STAR stories and SOAR stories. There are different names for these things. But one of the things they suggest is you have to, and you can write these things up. And I've seen people, and I'm working on my own matrix, where you put the question and then you put your story, and one of the guys that was in my group, he said he had gone over this so many times that when he started interviewing, he said it was a breeze. I mean, he could just go in, he knew his stories, and he could use the stories to answer different questions. And it's the whole interviewing thing is an art. It really is. And it also is going to depend, like in the States, the West Coast is really big on the all day, multiple person interview. Like it's a marathon. On the East Coast, there is no patience in New York. It's like 40 minutes or, 45 minutes. And it's like, okay, goodbye, and they're very different ways that people interview. And so you also on Google, look at the different types of interviews, look at behavioral questions, look at technical questions, look at the very famous one of tell me about yourself. That's the number one big question. Also in the States, one question that's a big deal now is, what did you do during the pandemic time when you were home? People want to know that you weren't just watching Netflix. So it's like there's this whole process to interviewing, and a lot of it can be found on Google. But I think what I found really valuable was having these little interview groups, and we really help each other hone those skills. And since you guys are all, going for that, you might think about doing that.
That is brilliant, actually. Thank you so much.
Yeah, may I add something?
Please do, ma'am. Preet. And I just want to add, Valerie, thanks for speaking up. I put some thoughts in the chat. Please go, Gio.
Okay. Now, I want to share that when I did an interview, the interviewer gave me a feedback that was very valuable, and I want to share that with you. That is that they expect that you ask. If when they ask you something, they don't expect that you answer immediately. They expect that you ask for more information. They expect that if you have doubts, you express your doubts. If you don't know something, they expect that you say, okay, I haven't practiced on that kind of cases, but if you give me the opportunity to look for this information, I can manage in some way to try to do something. And this was great because I said, but doing that, maybe it seems like I don't know how to do that. And this interviewer told me, it's not about knowing everything. It's about how you use the tools to get to the answer that needs to do your job. So I think this is it was a really great advice, and now I'm using that for my interviews, and it goes great. Another thing is when they say now you can ask what you want to know about us, about the role, about the company. You can ask things about details about the job, about the position, and they love that. For example, one question that I used to do is, what is the most exciting part of your job? What do you do during your day? What means be a data scientist? And this kind of question that are different from the question that people used to do is like, okay, this person really is trying to understand if she or he can fit in our team. and that is something
That's
that
true.
they appreciate. So this is something that I wanted to share with you.
Thank you.
Also adding to Giovanna's point is you should do a well research about the job you are applying and the company you are applying to, because when that point comes when they ask you to ask a question you have for them, and if you have done a well research about their company and work, you could state that, okay, I read about a recent article about your company. You have been progressing in this way, or you just launched your data science team. So it gives them a confidence that you really are into working into that company and you really want to work in that company. And the last point that is I can tell you from my interview is I used to have mock interviews with my seniors, and they would tell me, okay, don't tell a particular thing in this way, tell this thing in this way, and always show them that you know, but you still want to learn something new that they are doing, or they expect you to do a job, because being a fresher we would not know everything that is going on. But still, if we can prove them, okay, yeah, I know this and I'm keen on learning, because I know one of my senior who did not know coding got a job at Oracle, and she got a times month to learn Java and C. So she got a job because she showed that, yeah, she can do it. So it's how you present yourself at that time.
That is great.
Thank you,
Thank
Manpreet.
you.
I have a very touchy-feely thing to add. You guys are freaking awesome. This is really great advice being shared, and I'm learning a ton. Please keep going. Does anyone else want to add something to this?
May I chime in?
Kevin, go.
Sure. I don't want to steal any of the spotlight from you guys because you guys have a lot of great information, and I'm trying to absorb it as much as I can on top of doing some reporting for COVID vaccination. So that's more of my work-life balance. But anyway, I find that these lessons that we're talking about, or these points that we're making, are always integrated easier when we have a story to tell about them. So I'm going to tell you 2 failures and a success story in like 60 seconds if I can. So, and it kind of starts at the beginning of my interviewing process when I was already working full-time at a hospital, working in behavioral health and substance abuse, doing analytics for that team. And I decided that I had learned as much as I could out of that job, and I needed to move on. I needed to continue learning. I needed to push my boundaries and not let anything hold me back. And if that was the job holding me back, then I needed to find a better job. So I spent about 6 months trying to find a better job, and we'll call it day 1 or day 2 out of, however many days, 180 days. The first, I went to an interview and I thought I knew it. I thought I knew it all. I was like, oh yeah, I got this. Like, I want this job. This job is mine. I'm going to get it. And I went in very overconfident. And it's great to have confidence, but you also have to know what you're talking about and be able to express that and present that accordingly. So the lesson that I learned was to be more humble, right? I can't pretend to know it all because, and I'll probably say this and you'll get nauseated hearing this, but I know a little bit about a little bit. But when we start bringing a lot of people together that know a little bit, all of a sudden we now know a lot more things. So that was the lesson that I tried to take away from it was, you know what, I'm going to just chalk this up as a win in that I learned something, that there's a lot more that I can learn in this industry. And it was actually sort of a pivot from going into healthcare hospitals to then now working in biomed. So I said I was going to keep this short, so I'll try to eliminate some of the details. And now I'm trying to read up as all these things are popping up. So so that was my first failure, right? And then let's see, do I want to sandwich this? All right, let's do the second failure, right? Because sometimes we fail more times than we succeed. But I think I'm losing my train of thought here, but I'm going to skip to the win. You know why? Because I don't want to take too much of you guys' time. But my latest interview for this job that I have now, it was more of that California style or the West Coast style of all day, every day interviewing. And it was tiring. And especially in a virtual work world that we have now, sometimes you just have to be flexible. You don't always get to have all of your interviews in one day, and sometimes they're spread out over a week. I ended up becoming full circle. I went from interviewing with the directors firsthand, they passed me along. Then I spoke with the peers, then I spoke with upper management, and I sort of just kept getting pushed along. And of course, once you're that far along, it's always a good sign, right? If they keep inviting you back, they must see that promise in you. But the thing is that I think people forget is that they wouldn't be asking you to interview if they didn't think that you had some kind of promise, that you already got to the hardest part. The application was the hardest part, and now they found you and they want to interview you. So now it's your opportunity to sort of show what you're worth and also interview back. So if I can kind of tie in some of the things that we were saying before, that everyone has been contributing to, is that a lot of it just comes from practice. So day 1 was a failure. Day 45, day 60 was another failure when I had more of a technical interview, and I decided to take the approach of humility and say, you know what, I don't know that, but I want to learn. And even during the interview process, I was able to prove that while I don't know how to answer your question, I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to engage with you. And I even said, when the interviewer was about to move on, and because I couldn't answer the question, I said, well, I want to take this as an opportunity. Like, can you help me learn? And you should have seen how that pivoted the conversation. And he was, very excited to help and engage with me. So then it came full circle, and I ended up interviewing over a course of 4 or 5 days, to the point where I had gotten all to the point where they wanted to offer me something. And then I said, you know what? I want one more interview because I want to make sure that this is a good fit for me too. And I think that solidified their reasoning as well. So I want to make sure I'm holding people's attention here, because I don't like to drown on, but those are my 2 failures and my success. So please just stay the course, continue practicing, and reach out if there's anything that any of us can provide more light on.
Now, I only need to correct Kevin on one thing he's been hinting at through the whole time he was talking. Kevin, we want to hear from you. That was really valuable. Thank you for sharing all of that. And
yes, exactly.
Yeah, we want to hear from everyone for sure. Does anyone else want to add to this space? This is really exceeding our expectations, by the way. Just a thought. We can have a learning plan for our data science. We can have a learning plan for our soft skills. We can have a learning plan for our interview skills. I hadn't really thought of it that way until we all began talking this morning. And I think it would be good to segregate those things onto different sheets in your learning plan workbook. Just a thought. But who wanted to share next? This is really great.
I can add, you were all giving valuable informations about interviews, and I just would like to add that since I'm in a PhD program right now, things are a bit different in the academia, I think. It's not like so much about the personality. It's about, in academia, how much technical things you know and how much are you willing to go deep into that. And in my PhD interview, it was a PhD in a company in the R&D department. So when we were doing the interview, it was like, what could you give us for the interview? What field of research could you dive in? So this is maybe something different. They were interviewing me, but with my material, which is something a bit scary when you think about it, as a itself. But when you go into that and you need to do your research and readings about the company before starting, then it would be easier then.
That's great.
Sorry, Tom, go ahead, please.
Oh, no, I just wanted to echo Amar, that's great. And Amar, correct me if I'm wrong here, but that would be a bit of an atypical interview, but yet it's probably because it's at a higher level, I'm guessing. And to me, as I was listening to you, I was thinking, okay, how would I be in that situation? And it just comes back, remain calm. Just do your best. Don't worry about giving the perfect answer. Is that kind of resonating with what you were saying, Amar?
Yeah, exactly. And you need like to tell them if you don't know the answer and you know the path, you need to describe the path for them. Like I'm gonna investigate into that and this, and then I'm gonna see my results, and depending on my results, I'm gonna go into these options. This is like the preferred answer, I think. I'm not sure. Like this is my experience.
I like that, and I agree. Guys, I'm not forgetting you, but I think Ngazi had her hand up. Ngazi, did you want to go?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Always a great time being here. I just wanted to add that sometimes, especially when you're more experienced, there are a number of things you've done that you might find a bit too not quite very able to vocalize in a way that makes sense in an interview, but you know the stuff. So I think sometimes it's always good to step back and formalize your sort of knowledge in a way that you can articulate it easily in interview situations and give answers that encapsulated in a short time frame, even of things that's my experience of very when you've got a lot of knowledge, there are things but asking you questions and then you're thinking, I know that, how do I explain it to you, and not rambling on. So from time to time, like what I see you Tom do, and a lot of people posting things on LinkedIn helps you sort of frame your thoughts in a way that the post is short character content, so you can sort of put a lot of information in a condensed way. I think it helps sort of clarify your thoughts around certain topics as well.
I would have to echo that. Once I felt encouraged to post every day, the exercise of saying as much as possible with few words as possible has been exceeded. I didn't really have expectations of growth and communication skills, but it's been the value that you pointed out. And Manpreet, we're going to come to you, but Guy has had something he wanted to share.
No, please let Manpreet go ahead. I'm unable to speak. Sorry.
Oh, sure. Manpreet, please go.
I had a follow-up question for Amar, that how different it is to do PhD, and how different is the research thing from the project-based thing that we do in like company. And do you feel that getting into a researcher role into a company, is it compulsory to do PhD, or is it to have like good publications? Because I'm little interested in that side, that's why I'm asking you.
This question is to me, right?
Yes.
Okay, so for my minor like knowledge about that, I know that it's a case per case, like it depends on the context of the PhD proposal that they are looking for. So this is how they choose the candidate. It's not like about it's not about like the actual experience in the research field. It's more about like what are they willing to do. If they are willing to develop an already existing product, then they will look into someone who has experience in a project, and then they move into doing research in the R&D department or in the university. They actually sometimes ask for your previous publications or like experience in doing research and internships in labs. Yeah, so at the end, like as a straight answer, it depends on the context and it depends on the application and proposal for PhD itself. And this is something like not very clear. I know that in Europe, it's very dependent on the supplier of the money, like the fund of the PhD. Like sometimes the European Union gives funds, sometimes like the municipalities and the cities gives funds. So it's very dependent on what they are looking for.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Guys, are you able to talk now?
Yes. First, thanks for everyone for this ad. I just want to confirm about your point that you mentioned at the beginning, that since you are in the interview, anybody in the interview, that means he is also interview the company or the person there. And why I'm talking like this, because sometimes you will do the best and it will be really the best interview, not a feeling, but you will never get a job. So this is not related to the results. It's related because the result itself, we have multiple features driving that result. It's not only what's your performance. Um, I'm not going to say something, but yes, just like us, when we are going to the interview, we are not perfect. The companies and the interviewer also, they are not perfect. They are also some bad thinking and some good attitude. So this is, you cannot manage. What we have to focus on, let's say, it's also depend on which kind of company. Now, this is, I think it's critical. Since we are working on this field, we are either going to some kind of technical companies that they are, let's say, improving their or developing their own framework or providing some kind of products, or you are going to another kind of companies, which is, for example, hospitals or healthcare companies that focusing on one sector, one business sector. Now, at that way, yes, for sure, you have to understand their requirement from their point of view, because they are not interested at all about the technical abilities that we have. They are interested how much we understand their business. Now, this is, I think it's expected. What is not expected, and I feel it's always bad signal or bad mark for everyone, when you feel that there is someone asking you about specific task itself during the interview. In this way, I think it will not be permanent job. Most of the time you are going to perform this task and then he's going to tell you that, okay, we're done. He needs somebody to perform one task. I face this and I fall in this trap. Really, there's a lot of people doing this. So don't, yes, forgive yourself. It's not your problem. It's their problem.
That is so well said. And there's so many good things being shared right now. It's exceeding my expectations, but you know, one thing that's hitting me hard with everything that's being shared, there's a lot of posts on LinkedIn complaining, and rightly so, about how bad the interview process can be, how bad the companies are at writing job descriptions. We could go on and on, but what I really appreciate about what we're talking about is what we have control over, what we can do better. And I'm really loving hearing it. And I got to say hi to my Brazilian sister, Razel. Good morning, Razel. Or I guess good afternoon for you. And now, Manpreet, you still have your hand up. Did you want to share some more?
No, sorry.
That's okay. We'll spank you later. No, I'm teasing you, of course. Who would like to go next? This is so good. Now,
can I just add one more thing?
Please, Valerie. Yeah.
Okay. And listening to what you're saying, you know, I was thinking about, there used to be this commercial about saying defensive driving. So it's like defensive interviewing. Like go in there knowing that the person you're going to be sitting across from probably looked at your resume for 10 minutes and it's got a whole bunch of other problems, and, you know, go in there and, you know, have yourself together, but try to be a little empathetic. So what I would say is, if you kind of realize that they're bad at this, you know, what I find is sort of turn it around. Not that you want to, you know, take them over or be aggressive, but I mean, I've consulted for a long time. And when I go in to see a client, I'm usually the one with the notepad and the questions and asking them about, you know, stuff. And if you think the person really doesn't know what they're doing, you know, well, make sure you have your questions ready and try again. This is your time to sell. Okay. This is your time to let them sit back and you kind of gently, you know, do your sales. You know, why should they hire you? Think about it. Why should they hire you? you know, what do you bring to the table? How can you, you know, make sure you have the job description, go over all the points in the job description where you fit in, use that as your place to spotlight the best that you want to, because the chances are that person is going to be really grateful that you stepped up. But I mean, I'm not saying don't be condescending, don't have an attitude, just really, you know, be able to use that time to sell yourself and to put yourself in a good light. And sometimes you're better off with somebody who is not a good interviewer, because they're going to be happy. You just did your thing, you know? So, you know, I think you have to weigh both sides. I mean, it's certainly better than sitting across from someone who's hostile and who's, you know, barraging you with all of these questions and stuff like that. So if you get somebody who's not, you know, a good, just try to gauge the situation, know your star stories, know your job description, know your resume, know what you can bring to the table, and go with it. Be prepared.
Val, I'm so glad you spoke up. That's a level of awareness we really need to get to remember it's not just about us, it's about the interviewer and the pressures they're feeling and the situation they're in. That is so well said. I want to read some comments because they're just so good. Donabelle, I really appreciate your comments over here. And sometimes there could be future opportunities, even if you don't get the current position. They may decide to consider you for the next thing, or if they like you enough, even create a position for you. And I agree, these discussions are great. And yes, in fact, Ben Taylor was making a point of this recently in one of his posts. I just wanted, this is off the cuff, and Kim, sorry if it puts you on the spot. I just sense you might have something to add to this particular thought space. Do you? And it's okay if you don't. I just sensed you might.
You know, it's funny you say that because I was just typing on the sidelines. I think that it's really important, and here I can only talk about the U.S. because I really don't know what it's like in other places in terms of the business market right now. But I have been seeing that a lot of companies are taking advantage of people. A lot of people are, you know, especially when it comes to just entering as a data scientist, a lot of people are being underpaid. A lot of people are being told that they have to learn on the job before they get paid. And I think that it's almost like when you're dating for the first time, you don't really know who the other person is. You don't really know what they're about. And so you're kind of on guard and you're kind of defensive, but you kind of cover it up with jokes and, like, you know, small talk, and you don't really get to the heart of the matter because you're never allowed to do that. You kind of have to do the dance before you get to you know, get to know the person better. And I think that a lot of companies, especially because companies feel very vulnerable right now, they feel like they don't have a handle on data science. And so when they look at people coming out of master's programs or PhDs, a lot of times they're just like, okay, this is your problem, solve it. And in my mind, a company that does that is a company that is not really self-reflective and maybe not one that you want to work with, because companies have to know their business, because as a data scientist, you're dependent on that domain expertise to be able to do your job. And so if they don't know what their data is or what's important about their data or what they have even, then that's a whole different ballpark than someone who is like, okay, we have all this clean data, we have an objective, we want you to do the following. So when you're going out there and interviewing and talking to people, if they don't know, then it's completely fine for you to say, well, I don't know, let's grow together. Let's figure this out together. But don't let someone put all of that on you, because that's too much, is, I guess, my only feedback there. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Yeah, that was really brilliant.
Okay.
Yes, we can, very true.
Wow, okay. Can I say something relating of this?
Yes, Roxelle, I just wanted to really quickly say, Kim, I don't know what led me, well, I know what led me to but I'm glad I I followed that inkling. And then Vikram, we will get to your question a little earlier that you sent me privately. Thank you. And then yes, Roxelle, please go on.
Okay, hi everyone. Nice to meet you. That's so good. I like this web meetings because I can see other faces. I'm tired to see masks around here, so this is quite good because of this, and because of interviewing and some job interviews. I don't know out there of this. The South Hemisphere, but well, here in Brazil, some companies they are don't asking because of college degrees or titles. They asking if the people knows the tool and if they are if the people wants to work with, have passion and have a commitment with data. That's what I'm perceiving here in the because here we are having a lot of job opportunities here or in this January beginning. Well, I had 3 interviews in one day. That's great. Last week. But they don't aren't asking no more because for graduation or title. Well, Elon Musk himself said that it's not necessary to be well succeeded. So I think that there is some changing of mindset from the market. Okay, well, this is my opinion. So. Other qualities must be emphasized as a commitment, as a passion. This is what I have to say because I'm very newbie in order to use Python, SQL. I'm just learning, but I can say as the other friend said, I can say myself. I can say my idea, and this is most important. I can see other colleagues in my college. I have a friend with a strong hard points, but hard. Okay, but she don't know to sell herself. Okay, that's it. You have to develop other qualities.
So Roxelle, and a lot because of you, but a lot because of the kind of YouTube channels I want to watch and hearing you talk about the great opportunities in Brazil. I think Kim and I are both wanting to move there now.
Okay, you do very well.
I remember even when Gio was so kind to teach me a lot about South America, she had nothing but good to say about Brazil too. But that I am really excited for your journey and the progress you're making and the opportunities you're getting, Roxelle. That is really awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for speaking up. And who would like to go next?
Just something I wanted to add real quick. We were talking about interviewing earlier, and I think the focus was around answering questions that the interviewers ask. But don't forget, you are also interviewing, right? So preparing some key questions for the interviewer. Now you become the interviewer for a short period of time. So the questions that you will ask are critical, and they can give you a fair idea of how far they are. If it's a company who has an established process for data science, for example, quick thing could be something like, can you describe a day at the job for somebody like me? So you can have an idea. Can you describe a time when a critical error was made? What was the process? How was it corrected? And that will give you an idea of whether they have a solid team who can address situations, and even inside of a data science team to fix it. So think about critical questions, and you can give yourself 3 of those, and the way they answer them can give you a fair grasp on where they are, and if you see an opportunity to come in and drive improvements. And another thing too is when they answer these questions, always come back with "that's great," and I would also do, et cetera, et cetera. And you always want to provide a twist to what they did to fix something. Always leave them with oh, I can give you an extra idea on this one too. So that will get them excited. And also your questions will get them intrigued to know more about you, about your opportunity or your capabilities to solve issues for them. So those questions are very critical. Don't forget that.
Greg, I'm so glad you spoke up, and I just want to restate what I hear you saying in a way I was taught to say it. You're in there, you're in the interviews, and one way I like to pose what you just said, I can imagine you have me here to solve a problem, and what I want to understand is, how do you want your operations, your company to look 6 months, a year from now because you hired me? Basically, what problems can I solve for you guys? What are your biggest problems? And I'll be honest with you as to whether I can have a good chance to solve those problems. Is that hitting it on the head, Greg? Excellent. Good. Thank you for that. And as you can see, this is my daily time of enlightenment. Okay, you don't have to all laugh at once.
Nice,
Thank you.
Daniel.
Thank you. We got it. Okay. Who would like to go next? And maybe I don't want to, this topic's so important and we've been eager to get to it. And Manpreet and Guy, I think you'd agree, this is exceeding our expectations. We didn't expect this.
I've actually, I
Oh,
just would
Amar.
like to, yeah, I just like to add, like, if someone reviewed this meeting or webinar, like, he'd be surprised like how things went from discussing the technical stuff and the thing that we were intending to talk about into the interview process and everything related to it. Like, yeah, and it went really smooth, and which is like something really interesting.
You know, I can, to the credit of the group and its care for one another, Amar, we were this way from day one, and it's just gotten a little bit better each week. And I'm just so proud of us behaving like a family, a caring family, a functional family. Yes, Amit, please, you have your hand up.
Hi. Thank you for allowing me to join this company, this family. And myself, Amit, I'm working with data for a long time now. I worked as a database developer, I work on data warehousing, and I also work on programming languages like Java and C++ in my past. Although I'm from India, but currently I'm living in UK. So I have fair idea about UK, America, Brazil, and India, of course. India is my birthplace. So if I understand correctly, currently we are discussing interviewing techniques, or maybe possibly how you shall represent yourself in an interview.
Let me just give you a quick overview, because Amar made a great point. We started about the class that we're going to begin in February that Gaith and I are going to teach, and we're going to have some of the people from this group as TAs. Then we went into the importance of having your own learning plan. But a lot of what we put on our learning plan is so we can get a job. And a lot of us being able to get a job is interview skills. So that's how we got here at this point.
So transition happened from
very
from
smoothly
to soft skill. Perfect. This is my favorite topic. I would say that building up relationship. When you have an interview, you got 30 minutes or 1 hour time to build up a good rapport with the person. And it's very dynamic thing. You can't lay out certain points, and because the person in front of you, you need to decide how you react based on a person in front of you if you actually want to get the job. you can't be fixed. So I have been I have worked in various industries, and in one of my role, I was working for a call center, and in that role, I learned soft skills a lot. And what I learned there, that building a rapport is very dynamic thing, and you can't. Sometimes it happens that the person in front of you wants you to be aggressive, and you won't be selected if you are so defensive, because this person feel like that this particular candidate can't don't have that spark in him. So in that 30-minute, and that comes with an experience like right now we are having people from all over the world, I believe, and like when people share their thoughts, we learn, and our brain is so beautifully designed by God, that as we interact with each other, the brain develop its algorithm to build the decision. So the more you interact, the more you learn, and the more you read. When you read, you understand the psychology of a author, and that is also helping you. So it's very dynamic thing. I wouldn't say it, although there are certain rules, like experts, people like Kim and Valerie and others explained, you need to follow certain guidelines, but no way you can lay out the perfect step 1, 2, 3, 4 and crack the interview. That's all I want to say on an interview thing. Thank you guys for allowing me to participate. It's a pleasure.
Amit, that was great. And we've actually heard that wisdom from Andrew Jones in one of his posts, in case y'all haven't all read it. But I think the way you put it was beautiful and really helpful. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Let's see. I apologize. I think, did someone have a question or want to say something or say more? Yeah, Kim, go.
Okay, so one of the things that I have been finding, because I'm in the process of sort of transitioning from one career to another, is that one of the most important things, and I think that this applies to anyone of any age, is really understanding what kind of person you are and what kind of environment you feel comfortable in working in. And when I say that, I mean, if you're an introvert, it's okay if you don't light up a room. I think it's more important that you express what you know in whatever way is comfortable for you. So if someone doesn't ask the question that you wanted to talk about, then bring it up. If somebody doesn't necessarily seem to be jiving with you when you're back and forthing with them, then say, ask a question that's a leading question, so that you can open that person up to understanding how you communicate. Because I think it's so important, especially for younger people who are coming in. It's so easy to have your mind racing and your mouth is closed, and you're thinking all these different thoughts of, okay, they're going to ask this, they're going to ask that, I'm going to prep for this. Try and just stay in the moment, knowing who you are and what you're good at. And if that person doesn't yourself and your skills, so that you don't leave that interview with a lost opportunity.
That is so good. And I think it really ties back to the cool stuff Valerie was sharing earlier, where, you know, that interviewer may be kind of embarrassed of the questions they had prepared. And you can find an artful way to say, hey, I want you to know, you don't even have to pose it as a question. You can just say, hey, I want you to know that I'm really passionate about this area and I'd go about it this way. I'm bringing that up because I think it might be important to y'all. Or you can pose it as a question like, hey, would the thing you were hoping they ask, would this be important for you to know about? That way you don't answer a question they wouldn't want to ask, but a lot of good ways to put it. And bye, Tim. That's really, go, Amit.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I want to share one experience that was my first interview of life. I was just a college pass out those days, and I was a very dynamic person since day one. So I had no experience at all. As I said, I passed out my graduation with mathematics, and I walked in an interview with no resume with me. So the first thing gentleman told me that, okay, that's fine. You came. We are glad, but we need to have a resume. I said, I'm a graduate. What do you want to know more? No. We need to have something formally on a paper. That's when so there were approximately 30-40 people. I kept waiting for entire day. When all the people are done with their interview, then this guy told me, okay, come. So by that time I was very much realized that I am nowhere in a competition, because people were coming with a lot of big, heavy, bulky folders with them, with experiences and all. So that's fine. In a meantime, for 4 or 5 hours, I had few breaks from the interview bench, and then I keep on thinking what I will gonna do. When I appear for an interview, within 10 minutes, he said, okay, thank you. We will let you know. Okay, that's fine. The moment he said, I will let you know, I realized I am rejected. Then as soon as I realized that I am rejected, then I said, oh, now you have a chance. You can say whatever you want. You need not to worry about that, whether you will be judged or not. So then I started my conversation. That job was for a salesperson. And I say that, okay, that's fine. You guys have considered me and give me so much time, but I'm gonna promise you that I'm the person who you guys are looking for. And then I started conversation, and that interview continued for next 45 minutes, and I got the job. So all I'm saying is, it's very dynamic thing. It's very, very dynamic thing, and people can learn with the experience. And sometimes the moment you realize that maybe you lose your chance, so throw out whatever you have in your what do you call? I'm just missing the word. Whatever you have, whatever arrow you have in your bow.
Arsenal.
Yeah. So yeah. I totally connect with that, and also with Kevin earlier. So for me, I don't think it's a story that I told often, but I failed an interview at Amazon before. So the first time they flew me to Seattle, and I came in gun blazing, so confident, and I left this whole day. So it's a day where you interview with 6 people.
Okay.
Back to back. And I left Seattle thinking, I'm giving you guys at least at most a week to answer me, and I got rejected. And I felt crushed, but that didn't stop me, right? Because I really felt like Amazon was the one that was open to big, crazy ideas I was throwing out in the air at my current employer. And I felt where it was too slow to implement. So I changed the technique. When I got a second chance, I started recording myself. I asked my brother to help me out, become the interviewer for me. I got a list of questions. I anticipated the questions that they would ask. And I used also the experience that I had from my past failure. Loaded up on a bunch of questions. He became the interviewer, and I recorded myself. After each interviews, I listened to myself and how I answered the questions, whether I was actually tackling the points and also delivering the results, and also providing key data that I wasn't losing myself in the answers, that I was going exactly as designed. And I found myself eliminating a lot of unnecessary words by listening to myself. So I said a lot of I eliminated a lot of that. So that gave me an opportunity to improve myself. Until the next time, here I am now. So again, use your failure as a data point for learning to do better next time. And time is your best I guess commodity. So if you fail today, you have tomorrow to do better and change the technique, and you'll succeed eventually. So
Greg, to your point, we have somebody in our group who counts how many ums you say. Okay. So we track that. And so because we have a couple of Toastmaster experts in the group. And you don't realize it because you're nervous, but you're right. If you check those, the other thing we tend to do is use adjectives that are just, not necessary. And we're describing things too much. And like you said, it's like, no, you want to get concise and clear in your answers. Yeah. And that's what you're kind of working towards in the interview. And it's practice, because you've got to make it. And I find myself during the day even catching myself when I'm thinking, and I have to, it's like this ongoing 24-hour-a-day discipline of learning to watch how you're speaking, watch how you're stating things. So it's relearning. So I appreciate what you're saying.
And somebody would like to talk about taking a control of a talk. Like we have a Gio, I learned that he's a soft skill person. So maybe taking a control of a talk is very important in an interview, but don't take control too much. Don't dominate a person.
I for a while there, I was literally and figuratively being saturated with enlightenment from you guys. And don't take the literal part, meaning that it's going away figuratively, but this has been so good. And wanted to add to Greg and Amit's excellent points is I feel like I'm doing a great job in the conversation when I can get the other person to monologue. I've just got them excited and I'm showing them interest in what they're saying. Don't mess that up is my feeling when I see that. In fact, when I see you guys really contributing to each other very well, I just love staying on mute and listening and let y'all, because that's what I wanted to come out of this. This show actually started because I was getting too many requests for mentoring calls, and I still do some one-on-one calls, but I promised them, if you come to this each week, it will be far better than just learning from me. And I keep learning so much from you guys every time we open up a new topic. So that's the real enlightenment. Thank you for all of that. It's getting close to the top of the hour. And I think, guys, we don't start for like another 36 minutes with VibeHub, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're good. Is there anything else you guys would like? And don't feel shy if you have to drop off. We get that. We actually got to a really nice high number today, but people come in late, leave early. It's no problem. Thank you, Naaman, and we were glad you were here too. Is there anything anyone would like to add, or is there another question that we can cover before we sign off?
Tom, I just want to add one more thing, because so yeah, there are also times you get into an interview and you can find that it's just not the right fit for you. And I'll use an example I've had before. I went for an interview that's quite a few years ago, and as soon as they started asking questions, it was clear they were not asking questions related to what I do or anything related to the job description. And so I answered the first few questions, but I had to tell them, you know what, can I just ask this question? are these questions you prepare? Because sometimes interviewers are given questions to ask. I have been in some interview panels where I'm not the subject matter expert, but you are asked to be in the room as well, and you're actually given the questions to ask. And this is a UK thing. I don't know if they do it in other places, but you write down the responses of the interviewee, and then you submit both back. So I had to stop them and ask them, I'm here for XYZ role. Is that what you're interviewing for? And all of them looked at each other and said, yeah. I said, I'm not sure because the questions you're asking are not related to this area at all. And they said, okay, so what do you want us to do? I said, well, we can carry on having a conversation, but I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for. I think I'm not just the right person you need in the room. So I'll rather, we can call it off. And that's what we did. So I told them thank you. And then, we went away. And I got a letter from the organization later apologizing for the mix-up. So sometimes you do have to own up that, no, this is not the right fit, and then walk away.
That's so important to remember. And Ghazi, I love what you're saying, but the way I kind of put it is you're interviewing them also. And it's okay to figure out right early on in the process. When recruiters reach out to me, I feel spoiled now. I say, look, if this isn't 100% remote or at least mostly remote, I don't want to waste your time. And but it can, if you don't have that choice yet, there's other ways you can go about it too. Just cover, and Ghazi, correct me if I'm missing something, cover your important high points early on in the interview. Don't waste their time or your time. Is that captured in Ghazi?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, and then Chantanil, I want to read your thing over here.
It's just the notes that we have discussed, like they helped me a lot since I think Sai is not
that's
here.
what you've done. Yeah, this is a great, hey, okay, Chantanil, I'm going to put you on the hook here. I'm going to put you on the spot. And everyone already knows what I'm going to tell you to do. Write a post on this.
Okay, great.
About our session today. Okay. Yeah, you see Gio's over there wanting to help you even. Oh, this is excellent. By the way, someone very dear and close to me went through an entire interview process, and then after the whole interview process and getting an offer and negotiating for more money, she found out that she was really going to be overworked, and she didn't want to be worked that hard, so she just told him no. And in a nice way, of course, and she just continued looking for other things. But luckily, she had the freedom to do that. And she doesn't need to speak up, who knows she is, but I thought it was a good story, a good example.
Okay, Tom, another person who is also close to you, he did something, let's say, it's more aggressive. One time I was in an interview and they delayed I was there on time before, let's say, 15 minutes, and then I wait for another 15 minutes, nobody shows, just telling me that wait. After 30 minutes, I just go out. And then I receive a call that, where are you? You are waiting, we are here. It was about 60 minutes. I told them, okay, I'm not the correct person to do that. So it wasn't even nice rollout. For me, it wasn't nice even. Sure, I didn't say anything bad, but the way that I did it, yes, I just, okay, get my laptop, go out. That's all.
I absolutely, completely applaud that. Kim, you raised your hand?
I was going to.
Oh, hang on, Kim. If you can hear me, we are sometimes losing your audio.
Sorry.
There you go.
Can you hear me now? All right.
Yeah.
So I had this interview with Dell, and it was because of COVID times on a video chat, and they black screened me in an interview. So it was like I was looking at a black screen and they were looking at me. And I thought, wow, that's really mean. But, you know, I kind of just, I went with it. I was like, okay, I'm just going to pretend that someone's there and I'm going to pretend that I'm looking at someone, but it was very weird. So I think another thing is just being prepared for the unexpected, because sometimes there really is just a lot that's thrown at you that has nothing to do with the actual interview and nothing to do with the job. And I think sometimes they're trying to see how you react to unusual circumstances. So just something to keep in mind that, like to Amit's point, you know, we can internalize a lot of what is done that is really has nothing to do with us. It's either their own disorganization or their own way of doing things. And, you know, to Amit's point, that might be something that turns you off entirely and you go, that's just not for me, if that's the kind of thing that you do. Or it might be an opportunity where you can go, you know, hey, I get that you did that. Hopefully we won't have that kind of thing going forward, but it's important to always just to roll with it, I guess is the best way to put it.
And I want to echo something. It's nice when we have choices, but sometimes, let's just face it. Valerie and I had a really long, fun talk. It was 2 nights ago, or well, a day and a half ago now. And we were talking about that learning plan, but in the greater triangle of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And hey, we need a place to live. That means we got to pay rent or mortgage. We need, yeah, Caleb's going out. Caleb's the most famous guy in our family. Luke's trying to get him to go out. But sometimes we don't have a choice. We got to take a, okay, I'm going to just speak Cajun, please forgive me. Sometimes we got to take a shitty job, but that doesn't mean we have to stay there. So yeah, but if you have multiple job offers, you can take the one that appeared the most considerate, right? And but from myself, I just want y'all to be aware, I feel immense pressure. I'm a single income family with a lot of mouths to feed. And luckily I was able to take a good job, a considerate job.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to thank everyone here. I added this webinar to my weekly to-do list on next Saturday. So see you then. I need to roll out now.
Excellent.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thanks, Amar.
Take care. Ciao,
I'm
ciao.
gonna just close. Bye, Amar. So glad to have you with us, buddy. So someone had asked earlier, I think it was Vikram, and he may be gone, but we'll do this again at the beginning of next week. Because we probably will, yeah, we won't be starting the class.
This is what I'm going to tell you, Tom. First, I'm going to stop the YouTube right now. We are not live anymore.
Oh, good, good.
Okay. And I think also because of all the reasons that already you know, I think we have to